Hey there, it's Greg Otton here with MaritimeGardening.com, and once again, I'm here in the woods burying my pickles. Why am I burying my pickles, you may ask? That's because I use the lacto-fermentation method to make my pickles. I've got videos on that, I'm not going to go into it, but the short version is that those pickles have to be stored in a cool place. It's an old way of making pickles, it makes a superior taste, and there's an argument that they're much better for you than the vinegar, vacuum sealed vinegar approach for various reasons. They certainly taste better, and that's enough of a reason for me. But one of the catches, they have to be kept in a cool place. That approach to pickling was what was in use back in the old days when people had cold rooms, and most houses had some sort of cold room or root cellar or whatever. I have a modern house. It was built in 2011. Doesn't have a root cellar. It doesn't even have a basement. So I got nothing like that, and it's a lot of work building a root cellar, and it costs money. But a simple solution is to just bury the pickles. Now last year I just dug holes, put them in bags, and stuck them in the ground. I've got videos on that. I'll put a couple links down below, and I got videos of me exhuming them and trying them out. In fact, when I was digging the hole for this approach that I'm using this year, I actually found one unexhumed pickle from last year. I was digging with my shovel and I hit something that just didn't feel like a rock, and I actually hit the lid of this jar. Dude, I don't think I broke the glass, and it smells fine. I mean, when you pickle this way and they're kept cool, and assuming this didn't freeze, I don't know, it was buried maybe a foot deep, which is not below the frost line, but this is a saline solution, so it would take colder than 0 to freeze it, right? And also, if this had froze last winter, the glass would have broke. So I don't think it froze. I think it was okay. I think it was deep enough. It was deep enough that I didn't even notice it when I was digging these all up. Anyway, I might try with one of these later on. Don't try this at home. Don't sue me if this goes wrong for you, but anyway, I might give that a try. I don't know if I can get this on or off, which is an excellent segue to why I'm using this approach. So last year I just dug holes, I stuck these in bags, I stuck them in the ground, and what I found was that the lids rusted on, and they were just about impossible to get off. I actually had to use one of those things you use for taking the oil filter, out of a car, one of those oil filter wrenches. That's what I have to use to get these off, in combination with heating it and all that other stuff, banging it and so on. They just don't want to come off because they rust. And part of that problem is just having them in bags and being different temperatures and the condensation and that sort of thing. So I thought with this cooler I might be able to avoid that. I think really what this cooler should have is I need to build a venting system so that any decent cold room or root cellar would have some sort of venting system. I didn't have time to do that here with this. We'll try it this way and see what happens, and if that doesn't work, I'll work a venting. I've got an idea for how I'm going to do that. I got to get this done this morning, and it's just going to happen. My wife's giving me grief because the fridge is full of pickles. There's no room left. So, and this isn't super deep, but I mean, this is about the depth I had last year, and it seemed to work fine. This is just an old cooler that somebody threw away. The hinges were broken. I repaired them just using some old rubber and stuff. I cleaned it out and bleached it and so on and so forth. So now I just got to try to jam as many jars of pickles in there as I can. I'll see how this works. I'm probably going to have to dig another one of these because it's clear to me that I don't have enough, there's not enough room in here for the pickles I have so far. Yeah. I can jam one more in there. That's good. Because you can't put them sideways, right? They have to be straight up and down because you want the pickles to be below the brine level. So that's all I can do. So that's basically 1, 2, 3, 4.5 gallons in this. So now all that's left to do, I thought I'd just put a garbage bag over the top just to make sure nothing sort of gets in there. Also just sort of keep the dirt off and all that jazz, right? And I'm backfilling this. Let me put a rock on there just to hold that in place. Like that. Now we just got to fill it back in. Where's my shovel? All right, so we get that all filled in. That's all done. It's a bit of work digging the hole. It's a bit of work filling it back in, but it's a lot easier than building a root cellar. So if you don't have a cold room in your house, and you don't have a root cellar, you don't feel like building one, this is an easy way to do it, right? Maybe you have a long-term plan to do something like that, but in the short term, this is an easy fix. Get some old sort of container. I just used a cooler somebody threw away, bury it, and leave it there until it gets cool enough to take them out. So I'm not going to leave these here all winter. Sometime in November, my garage gets cool enough to put things like fermented pickles in. They need to stay around 10 degrees Celsius. I mean, there's a bit of play there. But this time of year, my garage, it's just warm all day, right? I can't, it just won't cool off because it's so hot this summer, this time of year. So around November, the garage will stay around that 10 degrees Celsius or cooler. And all winter it doesn't get any cooler than 5 degrees Celsius. So it's sort of an ideal place for storing things like that. Works out great. One thing I forgot to mention, because these rusted on last year, I use this cooler technique. I'm hoping they won't sweat so much in there, but also I use these plastic lids this year. These lids aren't for canning. When I'm not canning, I'm fermenting. This is fermentation, right? Canning is vacuum sealing things, right? You basically sterilize everything on the inside and you vacuum seal to keep all the environmental filth out. That's not what I'm doing here. This is fermentation, right? These were fermented in a brine, and that there's a bacteria in there that proliferates, and it creates an environment within that brine that nothing else wants to be in, right? And that's what keeps it safe. And I've put lots of different links up on my videos on fermentation from agricultural university extensions explaining why it works and why it's safe. Don't take it from me, take it from those university agricultural extensions. Of course, do your own research, be careful, and of course if you open up a jar and it smells bad, don't eat it. Right? If you got the slightest bit of intuition that something's wrong, dump it. Right? But I've never had any problems, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. I hope you gave us some good ideas if you're dealing with that problem. I mean, right now my kitchen countertop has about 2.5 gallons of things fermenting. And so I'm just running out of room. I have no more room in my fridge, and I don't have a second fridge. So this is my solution. It's a lot cheaper and more environmentally conscious than running a second fridge. So, like the fridges cost money to run, this costs nothing to run, right? And so it all works out just fine for me in my situation. You do what works for you, all right? So thanks for watching. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden and in the woods. Thanks for watching.